This is Open Studio, a podcast where I invite artists that I know and admire to come and talk with me about all things creative. My guest today is Kiti Wullich. She's an amazing photographer and filmmaker, and her passion is capturing the lives of artists and their creative process through film and photo. Check out her work. I will leave a link in the description. Also, if you want early access to new episodes of the podcast, exclusive bonus episodes, announcements about upcoming guests, plus lots of other behind the scenes content, please go and check out my Patreon page. It's a great way to stay connected with everything that I'm doing, and a subscription, even in the smallest amount, makes a huge difference to me and lets me keep doing what I'm doing and sharing it with all of you. So with that, let's get into the episode. I'm glad that we're on the floor as well. It's kind of fun.
It's more natural, right?
Yeah,
I'm a floor person.
I love sitting on the floor.
Me too.
Yeah, I don't know why. There's something about it's like makes me feel grounded. It makes me feel like I don't know. I just comfortable.
I think for me it's like more playful.
Yeah.
I feel more like a child, so I enjoy myself more.
Yeah, that's very true. Actually, yeah. How are you today?
Very good.
Yeah,
Loving this weather.
yeah, miserable.
But we have a really nice sun yesterday, so I'm really happy about it.
It was so nice yesterday.
Yeah.
Really beautiful. Were you outside at all?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Like I've been outside all day because I miss shooting in the sun.
Yeah.
Because in winter it's like everything starts to look the same, and then the summer and the spring arrives and everything turns into color again. So I get more inspired.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And also like the light is, you know what I mean? And I feel like
Magical.
that's so important for you, like the photos you do and the videos, like you like play with light so much. So,
Yeah, it changes, like completely changes the vibe. If it's like today, or we have like a really nice golden sun,
Yeah.
that's the difference.
So is that like your favorite condition to shoot in? Is like super sunny or?
No, I mean, I really like to play with different moods and different scenarios. But I think like here, the winter is so long that at the end of the winter, when March arrives, and April, May, I'm just so tired of doing the same. And I don't want to go to the studio anymore. I don't want to shoot the same things all over again. I want to go in nature. I want to do photo shoots there. I want to everything to feel more free and natural.
Yeah, absolutely. But so it is affected by the seasons as well. Like that's kind of cool that you think about it in that way where like when it's gloomy and depressing in the winter, you're also going to like the content you're making or the photos, the videos are also going to have that energy a little bit because that's where you're living in.
Yeah, I think like you can totally see where I'm at when you see my pictures. Like if I'm in a like sunny, cute mood, or if I'm like in a more alternative kind of mood. You know what I mean?
I like that, alternative.
Yeah, me too.
And how does that work like when you're doing portraits and stuff? Like does that come into the energy of the photo? Like your own mood when you're doing a portrait of someone else?
I think yes, but it comes more from the connection that I make with the other person, because I think it's really important to me to first like sit with the person, get to know them, know more about them and what they do, why they do what they do. And from that you have like an alchemy of like all these different things that comes together in the photo shoot. So I'm usually with those photo shoot, I'm always like in a good mood. Like if it's raining, I don't care. Let's embrace it and let's be happy under the rain. I don't care. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's also, I think like with anything, like even for me now, I'm trying to do more stuff that's collaborative or like do creative things with other people because it's so satisfying and it's like so much fun to share that with someone. So I'm sure that that's kind of the feeling that you get when you're doing like a portrait of someone.
It's more rich because, like a photo is just a photo unless it has some meaning to it. Like just like a painting, you can have like a decorated painting or you can have like a painting with a meaning, and that gives more life to it, So when you create in a team or with other artists, I think the result is much bigger.
Yeah,
and the mood and the happiness and the bliss you get from it, it's
Yeah,
much bigger.
I think you can feel it too when you're looking at a piece of art, if it's a photograph or a video or a painting, and you can tell when like people put love into it, when there was like a connection, but you know what I mean? Like you can see that in the final product as well. Even if you can't describe it, you can't put it into words necessarily, but there's some feeling there that you can see that, which is so cool.
Definitely.
Yeah. So like if you're looking at other people's photos, for example, like can you tell sometimes, like do you feel like you can get a sense of that, or is it harder for you?
I mean, I don't know if like, I think we can all tell like when somebody puts more effort into something, but you kind of can see what the photographer is going for, you know, and what the photographer is interested in. For example, like myself, I liked my photos to be like natural and raw, and try to capture the person behind the facade of the or the persona, the people create around themselves, especially in artists, because I think like the artist is deep within all that thing we see from the outside, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm always trying to look for that. But of course I can tell when you see trends and things like that going and going, of course. But everybody's free to do whatever they want to do.
Yeah,
you know?
of course. So. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
Yeah,
I love, like, I know when we first met, you were talking about like you really wanted to like shoot as many artists as possible. And I feel like now I see you doing it a lot more, and it's amazing. I think it's so cool. And I think you're right. There is like something about trying to get at the heart of who someone is through a photograph, right? And that's really challenging. Like I don't know if you have tactics or like tricks that are useful for you to make people feel comfortable, to get them into a place where you can capture that, because it's like, it's not easy.
I mean, it's really challenging, but you have to create like this safe space between like you and the other person, where you get to know the other person, like know a little bit about the story, who they are. And I feel like you create that connection, that link, that then when you go to the photo shoot, at the beginning, everybody's uncomfortable in front of the camera, you know, man. Like, so at the beginning, everybody's kind of like weird, but then they kind of forget that they're being photographed, and they are just being. That's what I want. Like, remember when we shoot your photographs? I was like, just paint, man. Just do your thing. Like, forget I'm here. I will walk around you and try to capture your process as natural as can be. I think that's what I'm always trying to aim for. Sometimes it happens and it's magical. Sometimes it gets more difficult, but it's amazing.
Yeah. I like that, the way that you put it, like kind of a natural approach to it. Like you want to catch people doing the thing that they do the way they would usually do it. Yeah. And I think that's actually like, it's tough. I can imagine that it's tough to do, because like, at least for me, like I think a lot of artists would share this opinion that they like to work by themselves. It's more of a private thing as well, especially if you're a painter. And so like having somebody come into that space can feel almost like very intimate, you know, and like letting someone in to not only like share it with you, but then also try and capture it is, I don't know, it's a little bit strange. At least for me, it's like makes me uncomfortable, you know, but not in a bad way. It's just, the way that what I'm used to.
You're feeling watched.
Exactly.
And when you feel watched, you pull up walls, you know? So it's like you stop yourself from being freely and just being, you know? So you kind of have to forget that and just paint, enjoy, do what you love. And then I'll be there like taking the photo. That's what I love the most.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why I love to shoot concerts also, because like you don't get to think that much when you're playing. You have to just do, you know?
Yeah, but that's a different environment too, because like they're used to, they're on the stage, they're performing, they're doing it anyway, and you can kind of hide a little bit more as a photographer, right? Like you're more in the background, I think, versus like if you're just one-on-one in a room with someone, you know, taking photos, it's a little different.
That's
But
true.
your concert photos are so sick.
Oh, thank you, man.
It's crazy. I feel like the colors that you get as well, like I'm sure it's a lot of it is from light and stuff, but I feel like you have such a good eye for that. And like you create these moments where there's like, you know, really strong, like orange or green or something like, I love it. It's so cool.
Thanks, man. That means the world to me.
Yeah, I really mean it. They're awesome. Yeah. Is that, so where did the idea for you come from? Like, why did you want to start like photographing artists and creative people? Like, what was the motivation?
I think it comes from like growing up. My room was covered with these posters and surrounded by photographs and like all kinds of photographs, like from my friends, from artists. I love music, so I have music posters everywhere, fashion. So it's like I grew up watching this because they meant so much to me, and they were like kind of making my life richer, you know? So I'm kind of obsessed with people. Sounds creepy, but it's like...
No, not at all.
I feel like everybody has a story to tell. The world needs to hear more about like artists and people who are actually adding beauty into the world. So that's what I'm most passionately about, sharing this, and also to try to help people who feel they are artists to embrace it and actually become it, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, because like sometimes I know for me when I started out, like I didn't see myself as an artist, right? It was like I think we talked about this last time I saw you, like imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
That's poison, man.
It is, yeah, but it's such a real thing. And like having even one person, like if you show up and you take some photos of someone and like validate them as an artist, as that kind of identity, that can be so meaningful, you know?
The other day I met with a friend. She's a tattoo artist, so hi to her. And we made an artist profile video. But it was crazy because when we did it like more than a year ago, she was just starting. She already had like the day job doing something else.
Sure, yeah.
And she was like really afraid to live in this new life. And when we finished the video and watched it like 1 year after, she was really emotional about the fact that now she sees herself, like now she believes the video, because like at the beginning she was like feeling imposter syndrome. Like, what am I saying? Like, I'm an artist. Like, she couldn't even say it like, hey, I'm an artist.
Yeah.
And we had to record it like 20 times until it was like, I'm an artist.
Yeah.
And she felt it, you know?
Yeah.
And now 1 year later, she grew into this artist when she started believing into it. I know she's balding, she's doing great. And I kind of like, that gives me happiness and bliss. Like helping people to see how great they are.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But it's so true. There's like, I think a lot of like gatekeeping as well, or like, I don't know, like if you're using a lot of social media as a creative person, like it's really easy to feel like everyone else out there is more professional than you. They're better than you. They're more legitimate. When in reality, everyone is just as real as everyone else.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of like, honestly, like kind of pretending or faking it a little bit until it becomes a reality, or like just having confidence in yourself and not feeling like you need to, you know, like you're less than someone else because you're less professional or whatever it is. Like, yeah.
I feel like everybody must feel that way. I feel that way.
Yeah.
Really often.
Yeah.
Every time I see like a good photographer, like, or a new cover of Vogue or something like that, I'm like, shit, when am I going to be there?
I know, yeah.
But it's, you know, it's like a process. Like you have to get there. If you have everything handed everything you dream, like handed to you today, now, like, and then you don't get to enjoy the process.
And I don't think it would be very satisfying. Like the fulfillment comes from the learning and the mistakes and the growing.
And the
like,
grinding, you
absolutely,
know? Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, but I think I compare myself a lot sometimes.
Yeah.
And I try to shut that voice in my head. I'm like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Who cares? Don't pay attention to that. Just do your thing. So I'm trying to like, you know, trying to look ahead and just do.
Absolutely, yeah. Comparison is so dangerous.
It's really dangerous.
And now it's so easy to do because we have access to so much, like
with
I can
social
look at
media.
Yeah, exactly. Like I can go and follow 5,000 different painters and just look at other people's if I wanted to every day.
But you will go crazy, man.
Oh, of course. I would lose my mind.
You lose your mind.
Yeah.
And the thing is like, what I really hate about social media is not the fact that, because sometimes you get inspired by other painters or other photographers and you're like, wow, nice, I would really love to do that. But sometimes it kind of try to put you in a box, you know?
Absolutely.
So like, this is your style, this is the only thing you can do.
Yes.
And that's so imprisoned,
yeah.
you know? It's like, let me do what I want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. But also like for me, I like stopped looking at other people's paintings because what ended up happening is like I'll look at something and go, oh, I really love that. I want to do something similar. And then the next time I try and paint, then I'm like doing something that's not my own idea. I'm trying to copy something that I saw, but I can't do it as well. And so then it ends up turning into something that I don't like and also isn't me.
Yeah.
And I really hate that. So now I just like don't look at anyone's paintings and just like ignore it. Yeah.
You're just like not looking through social media and just like being.
No, genuinely. Yeah. I try to as little as possible, but yeah.
We kind of are like the sum of like all the things we see and consume, you know?
Of course.
You watch a movie, you hear a new record, I don't know, you go on the street, you watch a building and everything is inspiring. And we shouldn't feel like we cannot take that, you know?
Yeah, that's a great point.
Even though you, for example, if you go out and copy a building and do a painting of a building, you will be kind of like copying the building, but with your own point of view.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
So
your own style, your own voice comes into it.
Your own voice
Yeah.
comes through always. Like your own voice will always come through.
That's very true. I think for me, like I am most excited by the idea of trying to get as close to my own voice as possible. So try and remove as much external like stimulation or like inspiration. And obviously it's impossible. You're right. I'm inspired by everything all the time, every day.
Yeah.
And like that's gonna come through in my paintings, whether I think about it or not. But like trying to remove the conscious inspiration of like actively looking at something and trying to recreate it and like use my imagination and see how close I can get to like my form of expression that's just me. And for me that's really like an interesting experiment. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not saying everyone has to do it that way, right? It's like just
no, you have to
for me.
explore, man. It's part of the process. But I think like with social media sometimes we get like it's really constrictive, you know? So for photographers, for example, everything is like, oh, so you should film or digital? I'm like, I shoot both.
Yeah.
Like, why? I have to only shoot film or only shoot digital.
Really? Some people
only, all the feed should look the same. So I should be only shooting with like Portra 400 just to have the same feel. I'm like, no. Like that's not how it works, especially when I'm working with other artists because everybody's so different. So what I'm doing for one artist will have nothing to do with what I do with you.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
Because your art is different and I'm trying to put visuals into that person, you know?
Yeah,
like
you want it to match their energy.
Their
like,
energy, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Try to give like the same with concerts and musicians and stuff like that. I'm trying to make like the visuals of what I think they sound like. Does it make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's so interesting actually to think about it in terms of like turning sound into an image.
Into an image. Yeah.
That's so cool. Wow.
So it's like, how am I feeling in this concert? How the environment looks like.
Yeah.
And feels like. And then try to translate it into a photo. Sometimes it converts amazing and sometimes it looks like shit.
Yeah, sure. But you have to experiment.
Yeah, you have to experiment.
Like for me, that's what makes it exciting. Like making stuff is exciting because I get to try things and experiment. And like sometimes I look at like other artists who like have one, let's say a painter who has one style of painting and they do it over and over and over and over. It gets the same thing always. I don't know how people do that. Like I would lose my mind.
You will lose your mind.
I would
definitely
go fucking crazy because like I need to try new shit. But it's also kind of frustrating because I think sometimes like on social media, if you're like trying to promote yourself, people expect one thing from you.
Just one.
Like you're talking about with your photos, right? Like you're doing shooting on digital, you're doing film, like you're doing so much different stuff.
I was shot with an iPhone, like 6, man. I don't care. It's just
absolutely.
like I'm taking a photo.
But the sad part is that I think sometimes that like people don't like that's not what they're looking for. They like having like the comfort of like, oh, I follow this person. It's always going to be kind of the same thing.
Like every now and then I want to see this painting. Like,
exactly.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And
but
it gives
for
them
me, it's the opposite. Like I'm much more interested if I go to your feed and I see everything's different, you're experimenting, you're doing new shit all the time.
Yeah.
That's like, oh, that's an artist. That's someone I want to follow and like see what they're going to come up with next.
Thanks.
Yeah. But I don't know.
But imagine if somebody tells you like, hey, Kilo, you can only paint with these 4 colors, like from now until the end of your days.
Oh my God. I would lose
my mind. You lose your mind, man.
I
mean,
really
look
would.
at your apartment. Like everything is so colorful. You need color. You need to express yourself.
I need color. Yeah, absolutely. No, I would lose my mind if I had to do that. But even now I'm kind of finding like, I was doing a lot of like paintings of interior spaces for a long time and I really enjoyed doing them. But now like I think sometimes people only want to see that from me, or like when I get commissions, it's mostly of those paintings, and I am happy to keep doing them, but I also don't want to become kind of stuck or known for that one. Like I like being able to do new stuff.
Yeah.
And it's but it's also hard when
But you should
go ahead.
feel flattered. Like I would love to live inside of one of your paintings. Especially the one, the one I like with the couch and the vinyls and everything. It's like my favorite
I remember
one.
that. Yeah.
But you're the artist. You dictate whatever you want to do.
100%, yes. But there's a pressure for me that's a financial pressure because I'm full-time, right? And so like in a way, sometimes I have to think like, okay, what's going to get me paid? Which, I don't know. I was having this conversation with Vinny last night, actually. We were talking about this, and it was like, it's tough because for him, like he has a job as well. So like it's not as much financial pressure, and I feel like he can experiment more easily. Yeah. And I still experiment all the time. But sometimes I'm like, oh, should I be doing this? Or like, this is kind of like taking a risk because I don't know if someone's going to buy it. Strange place to be in.
But it's really weird, man. Like it's the modern world. Like everything is money. But it's kind of weird that we need to limit it ourselves just to making money, right? Like I wish like nobody should like can use money so we can just like be and create and whatever. And maybe that's when you will do your like even best work when you are not thinking about if that is going to give you money or not.
Yeah, that's the dream. Yeah, I would love to never think about money.
Never think about money, man. Just like, what should I paint today?
But here's the thing is I really don't. Like, I don't spend a lot of time thinking about money, and I probably should, like a little bit more, like realistically. But no, you're right. I think it is, like, I do have control over it, But for you, I feel like it's I don't know. I guess I'm asking, like, do you feel like you have more creative freedom because you're also like doing a lot of your projects on the side, right? It's not where you're...
Depends. Like nowadays, for what I post, it's what I feel that goes with my creative voice.
Yeah.
And that represents me. But sometimes I have to do other things that doesn't represent me because we need to pay the bills.
Yeah.
I would love to stop doing that and just like live for that.
Yeah.
But it's a process, man. As we were saying before, it's part of the process. Like we're young. There will come some time when we will not be worrying about this anymore.
Yeah, that's very true.
And just like enjoy.
Yeah, that's very true.
But the same with every artist, like people who paint amazingly or take amazing photos, or musicians, for example, you shouldn't wait until making money to make your music.
No.
You should start anyway and just do what you love.
Yes.
Because that's going to give you happiness. And then if you need to have like a side job, do it and don't tell anybody about it. Like, I have a side job and whatever, but do your thing,
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. Yeah, you have to put the energy in and do it when you feel it, as opposed to like waiting around for the perfect time. Yeah.
Oh, no. There's no perfect time, never.
No, of course
never
not.
A perfect time.
Yeah. And it's also it's like about building momentum. And I think like the more that you, like the earlier you start and the more you're willing to kind of build that, the pace of it and like build yourself up a little bit, like the more time you put in, the quicker it's going to happen. Right. And so like doing it every day and being able to do that is...
I have to work a lot.
Yeah.
There's like, I think like people don't know this and usually have this like stereotype of artists being super like chill and do nothing. And we work like crazy.
Absolutely.
I work like more than 10 hours a day. I work on the weekends. I always working.
It's constant, yeah.
But since I love what I do, I don't care because I don't feel like I'm working, When I'm doing side things, like photo shoots that doesn't really go with my vibe, or like some commercial stuff. I enjoy it, but it's not what I'm thriving the most. But when I'm doing the things I love, I don't care if I have to work until 4 a.m.
Yeah. This is the trade-off. And this is what I tell my friends who have more like corporate jobs as well, because they're like taking vacations and traveling and this. I'm like, I can't do that because like I'm working way more than you are. But the difference is that every moment that I'm working feels great and I love it. It's like, so it's that's the trade-off.
And I bet when you go on vacation, you work too.
Yeah, literally. Like even when I was home for Christmas, I was like working on paintings and stuff. Yeah. You kind of have to. But yeah. It's one of the sacrifices you have to make, I think. Yeah.
But if you like it, it doesn't feel like a sacrifice.
No, exactly. Yeah, that's very true.
You're just like enjoying it.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you think about like style as a photographer? Like, cause you were talking earlier about like finding your voice, right? And like, for me, I can kind of understand it with painting, right? Because like it's very clear visually when someone has a style. And I guess I just don't know enough about photography. Like when I see one of your photos, I know you took it, but I don't know how you think about that or understand it in terms of photography.
Yeah. It's really difficult to convert like into words. But for me, they have a feeling, kind of a feeling of nostalgia, but because I'm kind of nostalgic myself. But I don't think that style in photography has to do, as I said before, if you use film or digital or what kind of roll you're shooting with or medium format 35, like it's more about what you see, you know? And only you see that as you see it, you know? I was working like 5-6 years ago with a lot of photographers, and we were doing like these photography tours, blah, blah, because like money, you know?
Yeah.
So it was crazy because we were shooting the same people, but all our photos were so freaking different.
So interesting.
So I think the visual of a photographer, it's more about like what he takes a photo of, that it doesn't have to do with colors and stuff like that.
Yeah, sure.
For some, yes.
Yeah.
Some photographers are like, no, yeah, I only use red backdrops. Oh yeah, I only shoot like in this weather. But for me, myself, it's more about documenting than just like...
So you're not like setting a scene as much, you're like kind of trying to capture reality.
I love setting scenes.
Yeah, yeah.
But they have to have a meaning.
Yeah,
it's
like
not
purpose.
just because a purpose. Yeah, it's not just because it's pretty, or it has to represent something.
Yeah, that makes sense. So it's interesting. Like you're also saying it doesn't have so much to do with like the equipment either, the camera that you're using.
No. I think the equipment is just like a tool, you know. As I said before, I will shoot with an iPhone, like one of the first one. Whatever you give me, I will take a photo. It's because it's what I enjoy to do.
Yes,
I kind of capture moments in photos.
Yeah, and I think if you have an eye for it and you're good at it and you really love doing it, then it doesn't matter what the tool is. And this is something like sometimes people ask me like, oh, what kind of brushes do you use? I tell them I buy cheap shitty brushes that like I don't take care of, and I don't care what, like it's really not that important. After a certain point, you know?
No.
But people think it is. And I think it's like, especially when people are starting, I'm sure they're going on YouTube and saying, what camera should I buy to be a photographer? All of this. And I'm not saying it's like, it's good to do some research and understand what tool you're going to purchase. But realistically, use what you have, your phone, shitty camera, whatever you have. Just go out there and start doing it. Yeah. Same with painting, because that's like the only way you're going to learn. And it really doesn't matter how fancy your equipment is.
I used to get so angry about that. Like when people were like, oh, nice picture your camera takes. And I'm like, fuck. Like, God. Yes, like you use it.
Yeah.
It's kind of sounds bad. It's really kind of conceited because at the beginning you kind of need that validation from outside. So you know that like, am I good? Like, should I keep doing this? So you need that validation. When somebody tells you like, nice camera, like, you're like, okay, so maybe it's the camera, it's not me. Yeah. And then you grow and then you're like, no, whatever. Like you're just shooting, being yourself. It's not the equipment. I follow some photographers that I admire a lot. And sometimes their photos are from iPhone. Yeah. And sometimes they're from like a Leica M6, which is like really expensive. And sometimes I cannot tell until I can really zoom in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At the first glimpse in Instagram, you're like, oh, I know he took the photo because I can tell. And then I'm like, oh, fuck, this was shot with an iPhone. And it's absolutely beautiful.
It's crazy.
And it has nothing to do with like presets and filters. It's what he's shooting.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe it's also like the way that you try and capture like the spirit of an artist when you're doing it, and you're going to like create photos that matches their energy.
Yeah.
It's almost like the tool you use needs to be right for the job that you're using it for.
Exactly.
So like
Absolutely.
sometimes an iPhone photo is perfect. Sometimes you need to have a nicer camera. You need a film camera, whatever.
Yeah.
And like understanding that is important with the tools. Yeah.
Yeah. Doing the work before the photo shoot and knowing what you want to achieve with that and what matches that artist, it's the most important thing for me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this artist, this should be film, no doubt.
Yeah.
And this one, no, this one can be digital. Sometimes I do both, just because.
Yeah. Why not? I mean,
Why not?
See what comes out. And, like,
And sometimes film gets too expensive and you go digital and whatever, especially now that it's getting crazier and crazier with the film. But I think like you shouldn't be stopped with your limitations that you put on yourself, you know, like, until I save to find like really good paints, then I will start painting good. No, man, you're going to paint good like with whatever you have. You just go and paint. And then you buy.
Exactly.
In the long run.
Exactly. But it's an excuse at the end of the day. And like I used to do that when I started painting. I was like, oh, I'm not good enough because I have bad tools. Like I need to get better paint, or I need to get like nicer canvases or whatever. That's the reason that I'm not good at this. But it was also for me, it was an excuse not to put the work in and actually, because I knew some part of my head, I knew that I had to do a lot of work and like it would take years to get good at it. And that was scary to me. And so instead of being like, I'm going to do this and like have the motivation, I'd be like, well, I'm not going to start actually because I need better brushes, or I need to do this for like, I don't know, it's just making excuses. And I think if you can like get over those excuses and just do it with whatever you have, it's so much better.
How did you get over those excuses?
I think it was like really falling in love with the process of painting and like realizing after a while that it wasn't even about what I was painting. I just liked doing it, right? The act of doing it. Yeah. And the more that I fell in love with that, the less I thought about everything else. Like, is the final painting good or bad? Am I using the right tools, whatever? Like, I didn't think about that because it was just about doing it whenever I could.
You kind of need to detach yourself from the result.
Yeah, definitely.
And just enjoy the process.
Yeah.
And then if the result is not good enough as you expected, okay, but maybe next time you'll get it, you know, because it's like now you know what you should do, but different. That's what I try to do with my work. It's like, oh, fuck, I wish I would have used that light. I'm like, okay, next time, I'm getting better. I'm grinding. Yeah. I'm like every time growing and growing.
Yeah.
And someday, no, I will be growing all the time. I think like
you will.
As
long, I mean,
nobody knows everything.
No, exactly. There's always room to grow and like change as an artist, I think, and that's what makes it so exciting. Did you always have that perspective with your work, or was that something you had to learn?
No, of course not. Yeah. At the beginning, I was like, "No, come on, man, you know this." At the beginning, I was like doubting myself. I was like, should I do this? Like, what should I do? I was kind of like secretive because when you have like a dream, you're so sensitive about this dream being crushed.
Absolutely.
That you kind of don't share it with anybody. So you live like all, you know, hugging your dream until you're like, no, I need to live this. This is what makes me happy. Yeah. And then I start. And at the beginning, we're like, oh, no, I need to have more likes. Like if people don't put like on the photo, it's because I'm not good enough. And then you start growing. And I think like my most happiest moment that gives me like joy and makes me keep on going is when I open the Instagram and a lot of artists that I follow here in Prague and I work with, their profile photos are photos that I took. And that's the photo. Yours is, and I love it. And the fact that they picked that photo to represent them, I'm like, yes, I did a good job.
But that's awesome. Yeah.
And that's so when cool. I'm like, okay, keep on going. Keep on going.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. It's about like getting the validation from like not necessarily anyone, but like from other creative people and other artists, that is really valuable.
Yeah.
And like for me, it's almost more meaningful to like connect with another creative person.
Yeah.
And like, even if they don't like my paintings necessarily, like at least we get to, they're like, oh, I like what you're doing. I respect the fact that you're doing, they understand how hard it is, all of that. And that feels really good. And then it doesn't matter so much what other people think, you know?
Yeah. And some people, I think, like your parents will be like, I love your work. And I'm like,
Yeah.
of course you do. You're obligated.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
It's not that I don't trust your opinion. It's just like when somebody that is studying art or is in the scene, you know, in the art scene, gives you a compliment, you're like, wow, thanks, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
It's such a good feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. How, when you first moved to Prague, like how did you start connecting with other artists here?
Oh man, that was tough at the beginning.
Yeah.
Because at first I had to take care of the money side of things until you're comfortable, and then you get to start like putting yourself in and your time into your art.
Yeah.
But at the beginning, so I started reaching out. So I was looking for people that I admired, and I think that they were like, whoa, fuck, look at this, wow. And just like reaching out. And then it's really nice because it's like a community that starts growing and growing, and then everybody gets to know everybody. It's like really nice. As we were talking, like we should like grow this artist community bigger and bigger, man.
Absolutely. This is my goal.
Yeah.
But not only my goal. I think everyone I know here who's a creative person, we all want the same thing. And we want to come together and like, you know, do more things as a group, as a community. And it's, we're getting there. I think it's
getting
already
there.
feeling like you now know like a lot of my friends, and you know, it's like all these.
I absolutely love it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's
and
fun
there's
to
no
see.
gatekeeping because we're sharing everything.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's amazing because art should be about like joy and adding beauty into the world, not like gatekeeping and competition. And when I see other photographers, especially when I see other girl photographers in concerts, I'm like, fuck yeah, come on, more girls, come on.
Of course.
Because it was for a long time such a like a boys club, but it makes me happy to see more people getting into the arts.
Of course. Yeah.
I think the world needs more artists.
I agree with you.
And less other professions that I don't want to offend anybody, so I'm not going to say.
Yeah, maybe don't say.
Maybe don't say it. But yeah, man.
I totally agree with you. I think it would be great if the world had more artists. And I also really love when like artists are not competitive and they're supportive, right? Like I remember when I was even starting, like I would like message other artists that I admired, and like the ones who would write back and be like, good, keep going, something like that, even something tiny, that was the reason I kept going, right?
Yeah.
But if someone's an ass, or even now, like if someone's like, oh, I'm better than you, all this shit, it's like,
what?
Why are you doing
Do
this?
people leave those comments?
Yeah, sometimes.
Fuck.
Yeah. I got a really. I don't want to
pray for
put this
their
guy
souls.
on blast. I'm gonna
Poor
say
guys.
it anyway. Maybe I'll cut it out. But I got this really funny comment. He was like, "I draw so much better than you, and I'm so happy that I don't do art full time. Like you're a dumbass or something like that."
What?
It was so funny.
What? That's so mean.
I know.
Like the amount of misery you have to have in your own self
But
to
that's what it
be
is.
like shooting into the world like that.
That's what it is, right? It's like projecting. I think,
Projecting,
But
yeah.
I always like am just as nice as possible in the response. I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry you feel that way. Like, good luck, whatever."
Good luck,
It's,
man.
You know, because
I'll try to
I'll try to get better.
myself.
Yeah,
Just for you.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
But
no.
yeah, it's crazy. Do you ever deal with that, like hate comments or like negative shit?
Not really.
Yeah, that's good.
Not really. I never had like a negative comment.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, maybe from the photos, like, but not in the Instagram, on the Instagram.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good thing. Yeah. And like, how much? What do you prefer to do? Like photography or like film? Like, can you pick a favorite, or is it like your children?
I think we talk about this because you did film before, and then you end up painting.
Yeah.
So I started my journey like studying music production.
Yeah, I remember.
Because that's my first love, music, you know. And then from music, I moved to video. And from video, I moved to photography. But because with photography, which I love the most, I feel like with just one image, you can tell so much. Videos are beautiful, and I still do and work in video. But with photos, it's just like one photo. and tells you everything. You don't need to know more, and that I love about photography. But I don't know, man, like now I'm focusing on that, but I feel like for me, photography is a way to expressing what I want to say or what I want to show to the world. So now it's in photo, sometimes it's in video.
It goes back and forth.
Back and forth.
Yeah.
And one day maybe I produce music, like whatever. I like to create. That's what I just cannot help it,
Yeah.
So it needs to be creative. And
But it changes, yeah.
It
but
changes.
Isn't that the beautiful thing is like if you're a creative person and you have that, like you have to create, like I feel the same way.
Yeah.
Maybe in 5 years I'm going to stop painting and I'll just do sculptures. I have no idea.
And use
right?
sculptures and then come back to painting.
Exactly. Or maybe I'll start making more I have no idea, right? The only thing is that I know I'm going to be making things and whatever I'm interested in making, that's what I'll make. And who the hell knows where it'll end up, right? It's
Exactly.
But that's the exciting part too. You can go back and forth
Yes.
a little bit. Yeah.
It's what we were saying before. Like you shouldn't be painting in just one color palette.
No.
You should like express yourself. If now you feel like you express yourself through paintings, like yes, amazing. And someday you're like, oh no, I want to like design buildings and I study architecture. It's still an art, man. It's like,
absolutely,
go for it. You just need to be creating and keep on, especially if you're an artist, you just need to keep on creating because it's like what you're meant to be.
Yeah. Yeah. This is one of the saddest things to me is like seeing creative people who like either because of their circumstances or whatever in their life, they aren't actually able to make stuff.
Breaks my heart.
Yeah. Because that's like really, if you're like, you can't actually express who you are as a person and you like have to like keep it bottled up. Oh my gosh. I can't imagine how like sad, it would be to have to live like that.
Yes. And it's really difficult because sometimes we all go through that at one point when we start, right?
100%.
As we said before.
Yeah.
And then you do the job and you're on the other side when you already decided, okay, like this is my life. This is what I want to do. And sometimes when you're trying to help people who are trying to make that jump, it's really kind of like difficult to show them like you can do this.
Yeah.
That's what I started the artist profile series in the first place because I want everybody to see like if you want to be an artist, you can do it. You just have to be it, you just have to be there, do the job, like do it,
Yeah, exactly.
And if you need a side job, do a side job, but don't stop painting. Don't stop doing your music. That's what makes you happy,
Yeah, absolutely. It's about believing in yourself. You have to have that confidence. Yeah. But that to me is one of the hardest things to kind of like try and express or like put into words is like how you go from like, finding something creative as your passion to like then really doing it and being like, this is most of my life. Like that transition is very difficult. And sometimes people ask me and I don't know how to put it into words really, like what the changing point is, where
kicking point.
Exactly. Like what is that moment that allows you all of a sudden to like be fearless or have the confidence to pursue it and not think about like, I don't know if there's like one secret answer necessarily, but I also don't know how to describe it at all.
It's really difficult, man.
Yeah.
Like for me, I think it was like a feeling. Like I'm the most happiest when I'm shooting or I'm editing. So why should I be doing something else?
Yeah.
Why
would you deprive yourself of what brings you joy, right? Yeah.
I remember when I was like 19, really young. I was working before in a agency doing commercials and stuff like that. And it was too much for me. Like I did it like for 2-3 years and it was too much, the stress, like working until 6 a.m. So I changed. And I was working for this like English teachers kind of thing, is doing administrative work. And I remember they actually fired me after 3 months. Oh. And the lady, she told me like, you are too creative for this job.
Wow.
You should be doing something creative.
That's amazing that she said that to you.
I fucking hated for that because I was like, I know, but I hated my last job. I was working too much. But she was so true because I was trying to rearrange and decorate the office instead of just like doing the paperwork, I'm like, what if we do photos and what with it? Because social media was just starting, you know? Yeah. So I was having all these ideas for photos and videos and she was like, you're too creative. Now we need somebody to take care of the numbers.
Yeah.
I was like, yes, I'm meant to be creative. Why should I not do that? and do something else instead.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you should do what you're good at.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But it is a little bit harder, I think, for creative people because it's not seen as like as good of a career path or as practical, like especially in some parts of the world where like there's a lot of pressure to like get a good job, which makes sense. I see it.
Makes sense.
But it does make it harder sometimes for creative people because like there's that extra barrier.
It's really heavy, man. And it's like you have to step up in front of everybody and I make the decision to be an artist and fuck everything.
In a way,
deal with that.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I remember when I told my mom I was going to study music production, she was like, what are you going to leave for? And now she's like, I'm sorry I say that to you.
Yeah. Because she sees you're happy.
Yeah.
She sees that this is what you're meant to do.
And she's really interested in my work. She is always asking me, like, who are you photo shooting this week? Oh, it's so interesting. Send me the photos, send me the paintings.
But that's awesome. That's awesome. It's good to have that support system as well.
Yeah,
people who
definitely.
are championing you. Yeah. Were you always creative, like even as a kid? Was it like something you did or?
Yeah, I mean, like since I'm 8, I started playing the guitar. That's all I did. No homework, just the guitar. Playing the guitar and singing and listening to records, and I was like addicted to watching films. I'm really film geek. I love movies, and that's all that was important to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I love history. I'm really nerd into that, but I was like, why can't I do something where I can like be around like movies and music and
Yeah.
But nowadays it's more normal. Before it was kind of like a
taboo almost.
What? Nobody will tell you go to film school. They will be like, no, I don't know, study maybe another career and then go to film school.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, like have a backup or
have
something.
A backup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. What's the do you see a difference in the attitude towards creative people in Argentina versus here? Like, do you feel like there's a cultural difference in how people see artists?
Maybe, yeah. I think I'm from Buenos Aires and it's really creative.
Yeah,
we
that's
have a
my
lot of art.
impression actually, is that it is a very
it's really creative.
Yeah.
But it's like it's easier if you come from like family money to go into the arts than if you don't.
Yeah.
Especially like in a country that it's always in crisis. So you need to work.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to always be working in something I love, like in video or sound or photography, but you have to really do the work if you want to make it. A lot of the people that were working beside me or like even at the university, I don't know if they do music production.
Yeah.
Because it's too tough, man. And there's no money. So to take that decision and, as I said before, like have a side job or something that gives you that that cash.
Like it funds what you want to be doing basically. Yeah.
They love art once you are an artist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I know. Like you have to be legitimate or quote unquote before people actually respect it, right?
Exactly.
It's so interesting to me the way that
now,
works. Exactly.
Nice, but before it's
But that's
what are you doing?
Yeah, and the funny thing is sometimes it has nothing to do with the quality of the work. It just has to do with like your reputation.
The reputation or the brands you work with or the agencies and stuff like that.
Yeah, how big the name is of the gallery or whatever. It's And
sometimes that means nothing.
It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
For me, it doesn't anyway. Like, I don't give a shit if you had okay, look, there's like some big museums, galleries, obviously it's like they're very
You must
selective.
have like your dream galleries to expose and stuff like that.
Not really.
No?
No, not really. But I purposely like not going to galleries because I have gotten some requests from galleries and I've said no to them. And it's partially because I like having my paintings up like in a little coffee shop or someplace here in the city where like people can go and sit underneath the painting and like be on a call or like have a coffee, go on a date, like have an argument, break up with somebody, whatever it is. And like, it's all underneath the painting. And that to me is way more valuable than having it like in a big room where it's like white walls and you have to like hold a glass of champagne and like pretend to be thoughtful about shit. Like,
pretentious.
It's too pretentious. I like having them in lived in places. Yeah. So yeah, that's my attitude about it. But
I love it. And actually it's so true because like when you guys did the opening in this trade, I started going even more and more just because like one of those paintings are mine.
It is, yeah, exactly.
It's mine because I got it. And I'm like, I want to see it. So I go there very often and just like stare at my painting.
That's awesome. I love that, you know.
And I can't wait to bring it home.
Yeah. It's the ramen one, right?
Yeah, the ramen one.
Yeah, that's such a fun
I absolutely love it.
Yeah, actually, I think I can give it to you next week. Oh, no. In 2 weeks.
It's okay, man, don't worry.
Yeah. Because we have a new opening.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
When?
A new show, May 10th or 11th, whatever that Friday
nice.
is. Yeah.
Yes.
It's right before the Prague traditional, like that whole
12, I think is May 12th.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, it'll be super fun. But yeah, I like having paintings being in a place that's like, you know, where people are living their lives. And I also like, for me, I love doing it in my community locally and like being able to actually like connect with people who could be my neighbor, or I see at the shopping, whatever it is, like I see them around.
Yeah.
Because for me, there's something very fulfilling about making those connections like locally, as opposed to like, you know, I message with people on Instagram all over the world and they buy my paintings and stuff, and that's amazing.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have the same kind of, like it's not as fulfilling to me, you know, as like really doing something here that I feel like it's part of my community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's growing and growing.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's a process, right? And like, I think we all have to kind of help it grow and help bring that connection together.
Yes.
But it's, I don't know. I'm excited that it's happening now. I feel like there's so much potential in Prague, and like so many.
Definitely, I think nobody knows.
No.
I think maybe there are like another scale of artists. You know, the non-Instagram ones
Sure.
here, and the more like gatekeeping kind of like
Yes.
exhibits that you don't even like know they're happening. But then you have really such good new wave of artists. I'm amazed, man. Like the amount of bands, of painters, of photographers. It's like, yes, something is happening here.
Yes.
And I would love to people to actually see that.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I'm glad you feel it as well, because
Yeah.
I feel like even since I moved back here, like I've felt it growing.
Yeah.
And like even now, like I made some friends recently, and they literally moved to Prague. They're both like, one's a music producer and she's a painter, and they came here on purpose because they were like,
What?
we feel like it's like a good place to be.
It's the place to be.
For me, that was like, oh shit, like people are coming here to do creative stuff. That's exciting.
That's exciting,
It's
man.
super exciting.
But you can see it on the streets.
Yeah.
I think younger people are more free.
Yeah.
They're more creative. You see how they dress.
Yeah,
They're-
yeah.
It's like something is happening.
Yeah.
Something is changing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so cool. It's nice to be like, I don't know. It's nice to be part of a scene in that way, right?
Yeah.
Like it's something I always wanted.
Yeah.
And now I feel like we're making it, you know, and it's so cool.
Because I feel like nowadays in the world, everything is about like followers in Instagram. Like you have to have 100K followers. And what does it mean? Like I prefer to
Nothing.
be part of a scene or of a community
Yeah.
when everybody's working with it and working with each other and everything. And you can actually see the people,
Yes.
you know, and their faces. I did one exhibit last year and I was so happy when I see people like staring at the photos and they were like asking themselves questions. I was like, yes, this is what I want to see.
That's
Because
so
when I post
cool.
a photo, it has nothing feedback.
I know.
Like, hey, nice pic or something like that. Yeah, but it's not the same that having somebody stare at something you did.
It's incomparable. Like
incomparable.
that, like, in life experience or real life experience is incomparable. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now, like for me, it's almost like the more that I'm relying on social media, the more I dislike it, and the more I'm looking for those real life experiences, because it
Yeah.
is so much more valuable. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we need to move away from social media for a bit, all of us. I mean,
I agree.
it's impossible because you kind of need it, because it's where
So
you
fucked
receive your message like, hey, we need a photographer. Hey, how much? That's where you receive everything.
I know.
But it shouldn't be the only thing.
Definitely not. Yeah.
shouldn't.
Definitely not. Yeah. And for me, that's something that like like I do put a lot of energy into social media, but
Yeah.
like you said, I kind of have to. Like if I want to make money, I do commissions and like promote myself. I kind of fucking have to put energy.
The
into
commissions
it.
come from Instagram. Man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But like, and some of them come here from like in person, actually more and more, which is nice.
Nice.
Yeah. But it's like, yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to balance the two and definitely put more energy into like the in-person stuff now here. Yeah. And I think we should be doing a lot more like events together too. you know?
Yeah,
Like how,
definitely.
I don't know. It's, we need to figure it out.
We figure it out. We have to find a space I have an idea.
Yeah,
Should I spill it on the podcast?
Hell yeah.
Like
Hit
we
me with
should
it.
like have like a really big space and make a really big exhibit with all the new artists in the scene, in the Prague scene. And then have musicians and singers and everybody there.
Yes.
Because there's so much talent, man.
I agree.
And especially like new talent that get discouraged when they don't receive the feedback in Instagram and they give up because they have like 400 followers.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't because they're so freaking good.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
We need to create this
Let's do it.
space.
Seriously.
Let's do it.
We're already kind of talking with Young Dust and like trying to do something with those guys.
I say that to Matt the other day, like because they did one concert at the start.
Yeah. I didn't go, but I heard. Yeah.
I was like, you should do this every month, man.
I know.
But I think like with the clothes and everything, it's kind of risky.
It's tough. Yeah, for sure.
It should be like a space.
So, man, this to me is the dream. Is we get a massive studio space, right? And like right now, like with Fruit Juice Collective, we're looking, and I think hopefully in the next like 2 years, we can make it happen. But like massive studio space with lots of different rooms. Some of them we can rent out to people. So if you need a studio space, you can't paint at home, you can do that.
Yeah.
Like any kind of artist can come and do their sculpting, whatever, and then we can throw events there as well.
That would be
and
great,
have like
man.
a home base that's like this is the place to be. You know, for young artists in Prague, and like teach classes, have parties, whatever.
And keep it
like,
open just to people to go and see.
Exactly. It would never be closed. Like as long as someone's there, you can come in and hang out and say
hang
hi,
out, yeah.
right? I love that idea.
I heard on your podcast, your friend.
Yeah, Connor.
That he keeps the window open.
It's the funniest thing
so
in the world.
people can see him paint.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that's the dream, man. That's amazing because you get to interact and make connections with the people and your art.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm so jealous of him. Because like if I didn't live all the way here on the 5th floor,
maybe
like
you
I
can
would
connect
love to
with the
do that.
aliens
Yeah.
here, but not people. But you
would
know,
be great
like
too.
we should do something like that.
Yeah. I'll say it on podcast. I'm thinking of doing that actually, is like a post where it's like, hey, I'm having an open studio. If you want to come by and say hi, like just shoot me a message on Instagram and I'll like send you my address or something, and be open for like 4 or 6 hours one day and just like see if people want to stop by. And I'll also do like, hey, if you want to buy a painting, I'll give you a discount if you come, like something like that as well. Like,
Yeah.
I think it'd be really fun.
And man, your house is a gallery. Your studio is a gallery itself. Like
Yeah.
it's so beautiful. You should be sharing this with people.
Yeah, I would love to. That's the thing. Like, I don't want it to be just a private space, right? Like, I want it to be open as open as possible. Yeah. Yeah. This is but I love this concept of like if we do get a space eventually, of it being open all the time. Like people can just come in and imagine like tourists being like, oh, have you heard? There's like this really cool like exhibition gallery space
would
we
be
could
the
go
dream,
and like
man.
hang out. Yeah.
That would be the dream.
Yeah.
Artists all around the world come to Prague just to this space.
Yeah, but even if it's just 30 people, I'm also happy. Like it's
Yeah.
not about the size so much. It's just
Yeah.
like what kind of community you
But
can create.
30 is a lot, man. Like
30 is a
5
lot.
people is a lot.
Yeah,
Getting to 1, it's a lot.
that's true. That's
It's
very
the
true.
only meaning of art, to just like to get to something,
Yeah.
to somebody.
Yeah, to speak to somebody.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Kind of a tangent, but I just thought of this. Do you ever do you feel like there's limitations to how you're able to express yourself or what you're able to say with film and photography? Like, do you ever like wish like, fuck, there's something I want to share, but I can't do it through this medium?
Yeah. Yes, especially when I have like a new idea, but this doesn't exist yet. But I would love to print the idea from my head because sometimes it's really difficult to get that idea into actual, into an actual self.
Yeah.
So downloading those ideas sometimes is really difficult. But no, I think mostly maybe music. But I don't make music. I just enjoy singing
But
and playing.
you don't
the
make
guitar.
music anymore.
I never did.
You never. Okay.
I was playing the guitar and singing, but I never even tried. But because I feel like it's too vulnerable, like it's really harsh when you put a song out there. You're kind of like saying everything.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's not the same with like photography or like it's. Wow, it's a lot you're giving.
It's like opening your heart.
Yeah. For everybody to see.
Yeah, it's pretty terrifying. And then imagine getting up in front of people and singing it then. I couldn't do that. Yeah. But it's cool. Then it seems like it works for you to be more like behind the scenes a little bit, right? Like you like that element of being creative, but you don't have to be like front and center, like sharing everything super vulnerably.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to share more about my process, but social media, it's kind of, I don't know how to without being like, I feel, and I kind of don't like the influencer kind of like, you know what I mean?
Of course, yeah.
Like I'm a photographer, I'm not an influencer. I don't want to be following social media just because it's fun or because I show you places in Prague that are cool. I just want people to follow me because of what I do. So I don't know how to share that. I love your videos, like how you share your thoughts in those reels.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know how.
Yeah. What are you trying to share more of? The process, like behind the scenes?
Well,
or like
this what we are talking about.
Yeah.
You know, more of how is the life of an artist and how it is that that is what I would like to share.
Yeah.
Because all the other things, I think it's really personal. Like you're not like I'm gonna be mixing 70% of yellow with 10% of white, so I create this color. No,
I don't definitely not.
That, you know?
Yeah. Because that's not interesting to me either. Honestly,
exactly.
Yeah, it's like I think the more interesting thing is like the more thoughts. Of like what it is like to be a creative person, what you're going through on a day-to-day basis.
The other things are just tools.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's more. Yeah, exactly. But you should experiment a little bit. It would be super cool to see you try and do that a little bit more. I feel like you do it for other people when you're doing right, like portraits and stuff.
Yes.
But you're not doing it for yourself as much. And that it would be good if you did, because like I think I love seeing behind the scenes of the way that people make something, think about something, how their like perspective is about their work and their art. It's so interesting and valuable. And like I think more people should be doing it, honestly. Because like I don't like this attitude of like, oh, what I do is like secret. I'm going to hide my process and everything from you, because then it's like, you know, it's like this mysterious artist vibe. I don't like that. Like I like being able to share every part of it and be open with people, because that's like what we were saying before. It's like, I'm not trying to compete with people. I'm trying to support other creative people. And like, if I can do anything to help you, why would I not do that? You know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I would love to share more of that. And I would love to share. I love this. You're doing the podcast. Because I feel like the thing that I love the most about working with other artists are the conversations we have in between when we are planning things, you know?
Exactly.
So that is what I would like to share, but I don't know how, man. Because I'm not a podcast girl. I love being on your podcast, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I need to find a way.
Yeah, I'll help you brainstorm too. We can come up with some ideas. Yeah.
Nice.
But also, like, if you're ever like, oh fuck, I really need to like talk about some creative, just call me and we'll do another podcast.
We'll do another podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be great.
But it's this is also the reason I started it, because like for me, I love, like, even the last time I saw you, like when I was thinking about starting the podcast, I remembered our conversation about imposter syndrome, and I was like, fuck, like those are the best conversations for me. That's what I want to talk about all the time.
Yeah.
And so like having a platform for it is really great.
That's amazing.
It's been super fun. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love being here.
Yeah. So. Anything you want to plug or promote before we call it?
Promote.
Yeah.
I don't know, promote, but I would love to work with more artists. So any kind of artist. Like for me, from ballet, from theater, movie, like if you are a DP, you're an artist.
Yeah.
Like everybody, just like hit me up.
Okay. Amazing. So you're looking for artists.
I'm looking for artists. I'm always looking for artists.
Okay. And in Prague specifically, or?
No, it can be anywhere.
Doesn't have to be. Okay.
It doesn't have to be.
I have a music producer you should shoot.
Oh, yeah.
Very cool guy.
Hit me up.
Yeah, I will. Yeah. I'll send you, or I'll give him your contact or something.
Nice.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kila, for having me.
Super fun, and I'm sure you'll be back on soon.
Yes.
Yeah?
Okay, nice.
Ciao.
Ciao.